in the hunt for a championship as Steph and the Warriors, their road ends here. So what lies next for the Suns? Well, it's a date with the defending champion Thunder. The two teams split the series earlier this season. For what it's worth, Phoenix has never faced the Thunder in the playoffs since the franchise moved to Oklahoma City. Now it's a new battle brewing. We're back joined by CBS Sports NBA analyst John Gonzalez. And John, coming in, we spoke pregame just about the key for the Suns being able to contain Steph Curry, keeping him from another monster night that we know he is very well capable of, but they managed to keep him and essentially the Warriors at bay for the most part, held him to 4 of 15 shooting. But in your eyes, what did Phoenix do defensively that just made Steph and co so inefficient?
Yeah, he just never really got going, right? The first half, he was very quiet. And like towards the end of the half, he made a couple buckets and you're thinking, okay, well, maybe in the second half, he's really going to get going. But credit to the Suns because that was really it, right? I mean, we saw what happened in the previous game against the Clippers where he had a slow start and then he got really going in the second half. And you even heard Steve Kerr in the in-game audio tonight saying, oh, we got him right where we want him, right? Same as last game where we're going to mount this massive comeback, but they really couldn't do it. They were down 18, the Warriors were, and that was just too much on a night where Steph Curry only goes for 17 points, 4 of 16 shooting. It's just not enough. You needed more, right? I mean, Draymond was a no-show offensively tonight. That's fine. You don't really expect much from him. Kristaps Porzingis, he only played 15 minutes, and they weren't good 15 minutes. So after having a good game last game, he wasn't anywhere to be found. Same with Al Horford. When the Warriors are led by Pajemski with 23 points and you got 20 turnovers, you've got serious problems. And then on the other side, the Suns, Jalen Green, what a night for Jalen Green. I mean, there's so many nights where you think, okay, Jalen Green, what are you doing out here? Wasn't one of those tonight. He had 36 points, super efficient. Kiana, for much of the game, right through like the mid of the fourth quarter, he had more three-pointers than the entire Warriors team combined. It didn't end that way, but like when you're in the middle of the fourth quarter and that's a situation, you got trouble. So that's why the Suns are going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to dive more into those cast of characters you were talking about on the Warriors side, but we did hear Kevin Harlan on the broadcast. He did say during the game, the Warriors are a dynasty that is on its last leg. What does this loss and just failure to make it into the postseason mean for this aging core around Golden State?
Yeah, I mean, when Steph's 38, it's coming to a conclusion anyway, right? I mean, like you only have so many more years of this before Steph Curry is eventually going to retire because age comes for all of us. Now, if there's any silver lining here, it's that the Suns are going to go and get blown out in the first round by Oklahoma City. It could have been the Warriors. You and I were talking earlier pregame about how, we'd like some more Steph Curry in the playoffs. But if you're thinking about it from the Warriors team building perspective, now they get a lottery pick and they get a lottery pick in a really good loaded draft. And that gives them potentially the chance to draft somebody for the future of their franchise, or they have a whole bunch of picks that potentially they could bundle in order to get help for Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler when he comes back from his ACL injury. They're going to be, and already were, interested in Giannis Antetokounmpo. Maybe they can pry him away from the Bucks. This is one of those situations where you go into the offseason kind of knowing that this was not your year, but maybe next year could be better. And there's only so many more chances that you have with Steph, so they might as well take another big swing.
How big do you think that maybe some of these injuries that the Warriors have dealt with, and I know it's major injuries to key players, but how much do you think that really dictated how far they made it? I mean, at least in the play-in, but do you think that they could have actually been a postseason team?
Yeah, I mean, if Jimmy Butler doesn't blow out his ACL, that's the great what if, right? Because the second that he goes down, that's basically it. That's a wrap on the Warriors season. I mean, Steph Curry is the number one option for all the obvious reasons, right? But what really made the Warriors interesting and potential, I'm not sure that they would be contender level, but they'd definitely be in the playoff mix if Jimmy Butler hadn't gone down, because it gives you a two-way option. He helps Draymond on the defensive end, and then on the offensive end, it really takes some of the onus off of Steph, who has to just do so much. And so once he goes down, then Steph is dealing with his own injury issues, right? And he only plays 43 games, and he missed a huge chunk of the season, both before and then after the All-Star break. And if Jimmy Butler is there, maybe he comes back sooner. Maybe they win some more games. Maybe they're not stuck at the 10 seed. The whole complexion of the season could potentially have changed for the Warriors. And then also you have Kristaps Porzingis, who was dealing with his own injury issues and then his health issues, and he gets traded. So it just was sort of a cursed year for the Warriors.
Yeah, a tough go dealing with a number of injuries. Then you also have a lot of aging stars to go along with it. It's going to be interesting to see what they do this offseason. As you mentioned, they do get that lottery pick by not making it into the postseason. And as you mentioned, these guys are getting older, so maybe this dynasty coming to a conclusion. But let's talk about who was on the winning side of this, because up next is the defending champs who have been awaiting Phoenix. They split the season series in their last game 5 days ago. The Suns actually put up a season high 135 points. That's also tied for the most points the Thunder have given up this season. You did say that you're expecting, the Suns to get blown out by the Thunder, but when you take in consideration how the regular season played out for both of these teams, give me your fair assessment of how you see this series going.
Not well for the Suns, right? I mean, yeah, they put up 135 points. Oklahoma City was locked into the 1 seed for a while, right? That's a game that they did not care about at all. And I just think, look, the Suns have had a really nice season. They won 36 games a year ago. This year, they win 45 games. And they won it after trading KD. And then a guy that they got who was spectacular tonight, Jalen Green, in that trade, goes for 36 points tonight, one of his best games as a Sun. He barely played all season due to injury issues. So for them to even be in this spot where they can, try their best against the defending champions and the number 1 seed in the Oklahoma City Thunder, this is already a win for them. They're playing with house money. So whatever happens in this series, they can come away from this going, hey, this was better than anybody expected, certainly better than anybody other than Suns owner Matt Ishbia expected. And so if they get, as I suspect, swept out of the first round or maybe a gentleman's sweep, they can still hold their heads up high and go, okay, well, we've got some proof of concept on Devin Booker, Jalen Green, and then Dillon Brooks together. That trio, we weren't sure if it was going to work. It looks like it works okay. And then we go into next season thinking that we've got something to build on.
Okay, talk about playing with house money. I mean, getting this far, sure, that's great, but considering that they retooled their roster after not making the postseason a year ago certainly changes, boding well for
Dub Nation, let me ask you something. Have you ever watched the season end and felt like the final game told you the whole story in one painful night? Ha, because that is exactly what this was. The Warriors didn't just lose to the Suns 111-96. They got beaten by every problem that haunted them all season long. The NBC Sports Bay Area postgame said it best. Injuries, turnovers, fatigue, lack of rhythm, all of it showed up together at the worst possible time. And man, from the opening minutes, you could feel it. Phoenix ripped off a 13-0 run, controlled the pace, looked fresher, quicker, sharper, and Golden State spent the whole night trying to recover from that punch. The Warriors fought back in the second quarter, sure, but the game never really stopped feeling uphill. Reuters reported Phoenix capitalized on 21 Warriors turnovers, turning them into 30 points, and that number right there is basically the obituary for Golden State's season. And let's talk about the emotional gut punch of this one. Steph Curry just didn't have it. Not because he didn't care, not because he didn't try, but because his body looked like it had nothing left in the tank. The post-game crew kept saying he looked compromised, and you could see it with your own eyes. He was limping, couldn't find rhythm, and every shot looked harder than it should. He finished with 17 points on 4 of 16 shooting, and Phoenix's switching defense took away the clean windows he usually lives on. Phoenix didn't give him the big man drop coverage he likes to attack. They switched small on small, crowded his airspace, and basically told the rest of the Warriors, you beat us, and the Warriors couldn't. But here's where this one gets even more frustrating, because there actually was a brief moment where it looked like Golden State might drag this thing into deep water. They erased an 18-point first quarter deficit, won the second quarter, and had that little heartbeat going. The problem? The third quarter came, Phoenix outscored them 17-8 in the first 6 minutes, Jalen Green exploded, and that was it. That was the break. That was the moment the Suns said, nope, not tonight. The NBC postgame guys were brutal but fair. The Warriors looked like they left everything in LA against the Clippers. They kept saying the Clipper game felt like a championship-level effort for Golden State, and there just wasn't enough recovery time to summon that level again. And honestly, that explanation makes sense. The Warriors were the oldest team in the league. Phoenix was younger, fresher, at home and waiting. The Suns had the rest advantage, and it showed in every loose ball, every 50-50 play, every step to the rim. The Warriors couldn't get there first, couldn't string together enough stops, and couldn't take care of the ball. 9 turnovers in the first quarter alone. That's not just sloppy, that's fatal in a win-or-go-home game. But even with all that pain, here's the favorable conclusion I think Warriors fans need to hear. This wasn't a team with no fight. This was a team with too many miles, too many injuries, too many lineup disruptions, and too little margin for error. That matters, because when a season ends like this, the easy thing is to scream that it's over. I don't buy that. I think this game exposed the need for more legs, more creation, more health, and more discipline, not the death of the franchise. Steph is still Steph. Draymond still competes. The question now is whether the front office gives them enough around them to stop endings like this from repeating. So Dub Nation, I'm asking you, was this just exhaustion finally catching up to the Warriors, or did this game expose something deeper? Drop your take in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe, because the offseason just started, and you already know it's gonna get loud.